Today, we are diving into one of the heaviest human emotions out there, regret. Specifically, the regret that comes from not doing the things we know we really should. So, to get right to the heart of it, I want to start by asking you a question. No, seriously, just take a second and think about it. Picture yourself at 80, looking back on your life. What are the things you're going to wish you had done differently? And look, this isn't just some fluffy, hypothetical question. The answer is your personal compass for what you need to start doing today. Chances are, whatever you just thought of, it probably falls into one of these categories. Not chasing that passion, letting time just slip away, neglecting your health or your family. And what's the number one reason we give for not starting? I'm just waiting for the perfect time. But here's the honest-to-God truth. The perfect time is a myth. It is never going to arrive. All that waiting, all that putting things off, it has a real cost. It's not just about the time you lose. It's about the future pain that you are actively choosing right now. This quote from Jim Rohn just frames it perfectly, doesn't it? Every single day, you're standing at a fork in the road. One path has the short-term pain of discipline, doing the hard work. The other path looks easy, but it always leads to the much heavier, long-term pain of regret. And here's the thing, there is no third path. Okay, so how do we actually start choosing discipline over regret? Well, the entire foundation, everything we're about to talk about, rests on one single, powerful shift in your mindset. Taking 100% responsibility for your life. This is so important. I mean, it is easy to blame things, right? To blame our job, our friends, our circumstances. It kind of feels good for a second, even. But blaming is a trap. It makes you a passenger in your own life. Real power, the ability to actually change things, that only comes when you decide to grab the steering wheel and accept that you're the one driving. There's this great little story that illustrates this perfectly. So a sparrow builds her nest in a big wheat field. One day, her little chicks hear the farmer say he's going to ask his sons to come harvest the wheat, and they just start panicking. But the mother sparrow, she was totally calm. She just told them, "Don't worry about it. We don't have to leave yet." So a few days go by, and the farmer says he'll ask his neighbors for help. Again, the mother sparrow is calm. But then finally, the farmer comes out, looks at the field, and says, "All right, tomorrow I am going to harvest this field myself." And at that moment, the sparrow gathered her children. "Now," she said, "it's time to go." The lesson is simple, but it's profound. When people stop waiting for others and take responsibility themselves, that's when things actually get done. And this brings us to a truth that can be a little hard to hear, but it's also incredibly empowering. Nobody is coming to save you. Your success, your happiness, your procrastination, it's all on you. Now that might sound scary, but it's actually the key that unlocks everything. The second you accept that it's all your responsibility is the exact same second you reclaim all the power to change it. So once you've embraced that idea of full responsibility, what's the next step? Well, you need to adopt a few key mindsets that are going to fuel you to take consistent action. Our biggest enemy is so often our own comfort. We naturally do what's easy. We scroll on our phones instead of reading a book. We watch TV instead of going for a walk. But real growth, the kind of growth that leads to a life without regret, it only happens when you step outside of what feels comfortable and easy. This right here, this captures a huge paradox of life. If you consistently make the easy choices, hitting the snooze button, mindlessly scrolling, avoiding that tough conversation, you will inevitably end up with a hard life. But if you find the courage to make the hard choices now, getting that workout in, studying, starting that side hustle, you create an easier and a much better life for your future self. And here is another massive trap: perfectionism. We tell ourselves, "Oh, I can't start yet because I don't have it all figured out," or "it won't be perfect." But let's be honest with ourselves. A lot of the time, perfectionism is just a fancy excuse for laziness and our fear of failure. Action is what counts. Getting something done is infinitely better than just dreaming about getting it perfect someday. Okay, so we've got the foundation of responsibility and the right mindsets. Now, let's get practical. Let's equip you with a few tools you can literally start using today to put all of this into action. First up is the 80-20 rule, sometimes called the Pareto principle. Basically, it says that for most things in life, roughly 80% of your results will come from just 20% of your efforts. So your job is to identify that vital 20%. What's the one thing that really moves the needle? Figure that out and focus on it like a laser, instead of getting lost in all the busy work that doesn't really matter. Next, we've got Parkinson's Law. And I promise you, you've experienced this even if you didn't know it had a name. It's the simple idea that work expands to fill the time you give it. If you have a whole week to finish a task that should take 2 hours, guess what? It's going to magically take you a week. So, the solution is to flip this on its head. Give yourself shorter, tighter deadlines. Create that sense of urgency and just watch how much more productive you become. And finally, let's borrow some incredible wisdom from some Japanese concepts. First is ikigai, which is all about finding your purpose, your reason for waking up in the morning. That's your core motivation. Second is kaizen, which means focusing on getting just 1% better every single day. Small, consistent progress is what crushes procrastination, not waiting for some giant leap. And third, wabi-sabi, finding the beauty in imperfection. This is the perfect antidote to that perfectionism trap that keeps so many of us stuck. When it's all said and done, it all comes down to this. The future you want isn't created in big, dramatic moments. It's forged in the small, seemingly boring habits that you do every single day. Your choices become your actions become your habits, and ultimately, your habits decide your future. Sure, it's true. The absolute best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but you can't go back in time. The good news is, the second best time is right now, in this very moment. The choice, as always, is yours. What are you going to do?